There is something about those male groups of the 60s. You know, the ones you hear on the corner just singing and harmonizing so nicely. I love that sound. And when I hear that kind of music, it makes me wish I was back in that time. A simpler time where the world wasn't perfect, especially for the guys singing the music, but a time where our focus wasn't on some of the dumb stuff we care about now. We value things like talent, hard work, friendship, and loyalty. We valued what we learned about ourselves and our loved ones when those values are tested. In a world where the Temptations movie likely made everyone forget about this forgotten gem we are going to discuss today, 1991, The Five Heartbeats, directed by Robert Townsend. Shout out to my boy Marlon Bellamy for requesting this one. I haven't seen this movie in years. Bobby Townsend was a very underrated director and actor. I know y'all remember Meteor Man and Up and Away. He's one of those guys who directed a lot of movies that no one really knows or talks about. The Five Heartbeats is one of those movies, a staple in the black community. Just like a lot of other movies I discuss on this channel, I remember watching this with my mom when I was a kid. And when The Temptations came out in 98, the Five Heartbeats always got compared to it and was seen as lesser. Now, I don't think that criticism is fair. One, the Temptations were a real group. Two, the Five Heartbeats crawled so the Temptations could walk. Either way, they are both great Black American stories about overcoming odds and dealing with the challenges of fame, racism, and most of all, friendship and loyalty. The Five Heartbeats is about five friends who are trying to make it in the music industry as an R&B male group. It's funny, Leon is in this movie, and he's in The Temptations as David Ruffin, which honestly may be his best performance of his career. Hell, maybe The Five Heartbeats is Townsend's on screen version of The Temptations, and The Temptations movie was the answer to The Five Heartbeats. But this movie has a big pulse, and it had me in my emotional bag for sure. This movie captured that spirit of what makes black culture great, the pioneering culture that inspired and uplifted, a culture that to this day, never really has gotten the credit for some of the innovations they've made. This movie shows the harshness of what it was like to be a black artist back in the day. I mean, Ray Charles was a pioneer in the deal that he negotiated for himself. A lot of black artists had to compromise themselves in order to get ahead back then. Hell, a lot of them still do it now. But that's a conversation for a different video. It's funny watching this after Sinners just won Best Original Screenplay, because Sinners fights back against what this movie is showing us. But despite that, we see this band and these friends go through and change on their own, without the aid of the system. I love that this movie just shows you everyone can be a slave to the lifestyle and the industry, and that's race excluded. The music industry has changed a lot over time, but it hasn't at the same time. It's still the same cutthroat industry, but there seems to be much more power in the hands of the artists, with a lot of artists finding success without the backing of a major label, which was unheard of. The internet has changed that. Everyone has a voice, and it's their unique voice, kind of like mine right now. We don't need industry curated talent anymore. The internet has put eyes on raw talent and the little guys. Think about someone like Wiz Khalifa. Wiz was not the typical mainstream rapper, but he used the internet to break down the door and force the industry to take him serious, and signed, I think, a $5 million deal with Atlantic Records. He did it all being himself. Back in the day, artists signed their souls away, and they barely got anything out of it. Sure, you can get some money, maybe get a nice car, a house, but these labels can take your soul, break up friendships, and leave you feeling empty. The idea of being a superstar is alluring. Money, women, fame, the ability to take care of your family. But there's also the drugs, the partying, keeping up with the times, struggling to deal when your fame starts to fade. We see all of that in this movie. How these things interfere with your loved ones. And what this movie does is show you all these different sides I discussed through the five characters. Does this movie suffer a little from typical character types? Yes. I also gotta say, some of the characters are very underwritten and underdeveloped. Duck, JT, and Eddie got a lot of focus, and we see them change and go through a lot. Dresser and Choir Boy kinda get left on the back burner. Despite that, these guys are brothers, not just Duck and JT, all of them. They're real friends, and what sucks the most is seeing their friendship tested. Drugs change Eddie, women change JT, and all of the other guys are trying to remain sane while the other guys are seemingly spiraling out of control. Not to mention the record label owner is a crazy ass crook who is milking them for everything. I gotta highlight Hawthorne James as Big Red, the record label owner. He was very good in this movie. So much so to the point I was ready to beat his ass in this. Despite all the obstacles that come in between these guys, they overcome that. And even when the separation of the time and body, their spirits still come back together after all they have been through and done together. This is where I'm indifferent. I, on one hand, think it is great and I love to see it on screen, but I feel like in real life, some things just can't be forgiven. And maybe some of these friendships wouldn't be mended. Maybe that's me being negative, but I've cut friends off for less. But let's talk about what these guys did, and that was perform. These guys were fantastic. Great songs and dance numbers. I love the shows and clubs they played at. Great soulful love music that we just do not get anymore. These guys had great choreography, great outfits, and great hairstyles. Look at Eddie, man. He just had that look to him. Frontman energy and also diva energy, but his performance was my favorite on the light and dark sides. His character is everything that makes these kinds of movies great. A guy who just feeds too much in the lifestyle, but will always have that charisma. Michael Wright should have had a better career. There's something about showmanship that's missing in today's entertainment that was embodied in entertainment of the past. I miss that. I mean, of course, we've still got great performers of today, but it felt less manufactured and more personal to the artist back in the day. There's a reason we still listen to old music, and there's a reason they still make movies about these musicians of the past. A lot of that stuff is timeless. So, what does that say about the future of music? The future of entertainment? It's certainly unsure as trends have drastically shifted over the decades, but I guess we'll just have to see what happens. This movie is a straight classic by now, an emotional ride through an era of time involving music, love, and friendship. I had a great time rewatching this movie after many years, and I would highly suggest watching it if you haven't seen it in a while. I am going to give The Five Heartbeats an 8.3 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my 5 Heartbeats review. Let me know if there's a film or topic you'd like me to review. If you made it this far, do me a favor, like the video and subscribe for a guy. It is much appreciated. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast, my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that below for more movie content. I'll be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.